I'm Misha Hadaway, CEO and owner of Gentle Mama Counseling, and you're tuned into Ladies Power Lunch.
Hi, I'm Nadine Keller, CEO of Precision Sales Coaching and Training, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Debbie Sodergren, the CEO of Up Vibrations, and you are plugged into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Christy Sullivan, human design expert, author, and speaker, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Keisha Zulo, president of Events of Joy, and you're tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Mary Colangelo. I'm an international fashion therapist, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Lucretia Clements, the CEO of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness. You are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Kiana Coachman Strickland, also known as DJ Q Boogie. I'm the founder of Female DJ Association, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for the Ladies Power Lunch Show. If you're joining us on our Win Win Women platform, or you're joining us on our podcast or on YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we have a very special guest, Lindsay Potter, and we're going to be talking about something that's really, really important for every single one of you entrepreneurs watching with us. We're talking about authenticity. We're talking about using speaking to actually grow your business. I am going to give you a chance to meet our new friend, Lindsay, in just a moment. But if this is your first time joining, I want to say thank you so much for saying yes to being a part of this show. We're committed to providing women in business with a place where they can find a lot of answers and they can ask a lot of questions. And we are also hosts, in addition to hosting this show, we are hosts of an outstanding women's group called Ladies Power Lunch. It's a place where women in business who really believe in this idea that when we link arms and support each other, that everybody wins and that all our businesses, which are purpose-driven, can grow and support our communities, and the world can end up becoming a better place. All the people who believe that, they're all part of our community, and we'd love for you to be a part of our community too. It's really easy to join us. Just go to growsmarter.com/login, and we welcome you. It's completely free to join, and we just want more women to support women. All right. On with this show. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you so much for saying yes to being part of this conversation about authenticity and visibility and speaking. Thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a joy to meet you and to be a part of this community. I love talking about authenticity.
Authenticity is a great topic to talk about because in so many ways, we have been put into these little boxes and we're expected to be a certain way. And sometimes it's nice to be able to just take a breath and be yourself. So can you tell us, Lindsay, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you came to be such an advocate for authenticity?
Yes. So my name is Lindsay Potter. I am currently in my career. I am a mindset and performance coach for teenage athletes specifically. I've had a number of career shifts, especially in the past 5 years. I came from a marketing background where I was head of marketing for a number of teams over the years for emerging beverage brands specifically, and had great experiences. But just before COVID hit back in 2019, the tail end of 2019, I had been laid off from my job and I was burnt out and I felt very disconnected from myself. So COVID hit. I had taken a few months off to be with my kids. I'm raising 2 kids who are now teenagers in the early teenage years. And back then they were, just under 10 years old, and I wanted to have more time with them. So getting back to authenticity, I started doing some real personal healing. I had been on a hamster wheel of work since I had graduated college. And in college, I was a big athlete. So that will tie into the tail end of my story and where I am now. But leaving college as an athlete and going into the corporate world was not what I expected. And I was always kind of chasing after something that I wasn't necessarily finding. I always had amazing job opportunities and I've had a lot of success, but none of it was really intentional. It was these opportunities were coming at me. I was taking them. They were great while they were great. But then 5 years ago, I really wanted to get in touch with myself again, really, and learn what I really wanted, as opposed to a paycheck, a job. I really wanted to do purposeful work and, of course, make money. So I started doing some healing. For me, that started with meditation. I was a person that never thought I could sit still enough to meditate. And it turns out that meditation really completely changed the course of my life. I will attribute the majority of where I am today in my success and health to the beginning of my journey with meditation. And meditation just opened the door to shifting a number of habits that weren't working for me. So the first one was alcohol. A few years ago, I just realized it's not serving me anymore and it's not making me feel good. And I never had a problem with it, which I'm grateful for, but I just wanted to stop. And stopping consuming alcohol kind of started just a snowball of change, all for the better. And then in my work, I started realizing I've always coached sports, youth sports specifically, since I was in college. So 25 plus years of coaching sports. When I stepped out onto the field, I coached lacrosse in the spring. More specifically, 3 years ago, I realized this is what I'm good at. This is what I love. I can do it with my eyes closed. I love helping kids love a sport and work hard and succeed and fail and everything that sport taught me about how to be a better person in life, a good person, and how to be successful in business is what I'm using in my career now to help these athletes with their mindset. So I was certified to coach. I started coaching adults, really, and pivoting in their career, which is what I had done a number of times. And I had a lot of friends in my age group in our 40s who were unhappy in their work and wanted something to change, but didn't know where to start. So I had a number of clients for about a year and a half. I was doing that. And then I hired a mindset coach as part of the coaching group that I was in. And I very quickly realized this is who I am and what I want to do. So circling back to your question of authenticity, when I was being coached on my own mindset, I realized this is an extension of who I am, is doing this coaching. So I was certified to be a mindset coach more specifically, and I integrate all of the work that I've done as a marketer and now as a certified coach to combine to help these athletes, these teenagers, with their mindset and performance. So I teach mostly methods to help them regulate their nervous systems, to help them learn how to breathe, learn how to stay calm under pressure. And the list goes on. But I've honestly never felt more aligned in my work. And I love to work. I do love to have something to dig my teeth into. And this to me is the most meaningful work I've ever done. So living with authenticity to me is doing the thing that lights you up, the thing that, yes, and pays the bills, obviously, but that really, I wasn't waking up in the middle of the night thinking about what I got to do the next day anymore in my marketing career, which I had been for years. And then suddenly I wasn't excited. I wasn't sinking my teeth into anything. I was living for the weekends. And now, a weekend is just another day of the week for me. I actually love Mondays because I love getting back on a schedule. But living authentically for me means doing work that is an extension of who you are. And I feel so grateful that I've been able to do the healing that got me to this place right now. So thank you for asking.
I love so many of the things that you have been saying. And firstly, I want to say that I love that you're working with teens. I feel that's the pivotal stage where if we back in the day had somebody like you in our lives,
Oh,
would have been much farther ahead, because the way we would be thinking, like in our 20s and our 30s, would have been so different. A lot of us really had to have life experience teach us how to be better at lifing. So I love that
myself
you're
included.
Yes, yes. And then you also mentioned that meditation was a grounding factor for you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the story, about your journey to embracing meditation and what that looks like for you now?
Yeah, that's a great question because I am always on the go. I have more energy than most humans just naturally. And to that point, I never thought to sit still with my own thoughts. I think it was actually really scary. It's vulnerable to sit with your own thoughts. I watched an interview recently with Denzel Washington. I had seen his most recent movie, Gladiator 2. And he said, every morning I get up and I meditate for 30 minutes, which is a long time. And he said, but most people don't because it's scary to sit with your own thoughts. You don't like what you hear, and you don't. But the more that you train yourself to sit with your own thoughts, the more you realize that thoughts are so fleeting. They're like the waves of the ocean. They come and they go. And you get to choose what you hold on to. So whatever energy we put into the thoughts that come through our head like a wave is what we will hold. And we get to choose what we hold. Now, I didn't realize that when I just started meditating. I've learned that through the practice. But 3 years ago, a friend of mine's uncle, actually, I was with him, and he has a small plane, and he sat me in the cockpit with him and he let me fly the plane. It's a very old plane too, so it's rickety. And I was white knuckled. I was so nervous. And I don't normally get that way. And of course, he was there flying the plane, but I said to him, how do you stay so calm? And he said, I've been practicing transcendental meditation for 32 years. And a week later, he sent me an email. He said, I want you to go and meet my teacher. So long story short, I met his teacher. She lives in Westchester County, close to where I live in Connecticut. And we sat together for 4 days, 2 hours a day, and did this training we meditated together. Now, transcendental meditation is you do 20 minutes twice a day. And I was doing transcendental meditation for a long time. And now I have a different practice, but I love the practice of transcendental. And what she really taught me was that once you learn how to meditate, you don't necessarily need 20 minutes twice a day, though the more you practice, the better off you are. You just are able to step into a meditation at any time, any place, and shut out the noise around us, which is the biggest benefit for me. And the other piece for me about meditation, now I've been in a regular practice for close to 3 years, which is amazing. But it also led me to other healing modalities. So I like trying new things. And for me, meditation brought me into breath work. I started doing breath work with a friend of mine who was actually being certified to be a transformational breath work instructor. I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know what it was. And it's really using your breath to have these experiences. It's almost like an out of body experience just through breathing. And every practice that I've done with her, I did a 12-week program with her, but I've been practicing breath work for over a year and a half now with this teacher. And you do these journeys, they're called. So it's about an hour of deep breathing, all mouth breathing, but you shut out the noise and really start to feel very much in touch with your own heart and soul. And things come up, for me, at least in my experience, things came up that I didn't even know I was holding on to emotionally. And then through her guidance, you learn to let go of those things. And it's nerve-wracking when you first go into it because you feel a loss of control almost, but she keeps you under control through her, her words that she's saying, and you're listening to subliminal music playing. And it's an incredible experience. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. Transformational breathwork journeys. But through that work, I got crystal clear on what I didn't want to do. I was doing 5 different jobs at once, trying to figure out where should I really be putting my energy. But what I learned was that my energy was my biggest asset. And so I was giving it away instead of protecting it. And so through the meditation and the breath work, I learned that I need to protect my energy. I also explored doing energy work with she's kind of a medium healer. And she spoke to my spirit guides, which I had never done before. And she said, they are telling me that you need to protect your energy. And I was like, okay, this is a theme. I've got a lot of energy, but I need to protect it because it's, again, my biggest asset. All of us, our energy is our asset. And I was giving it away. And so now in protecting it, it's not selfish. It's actually selfless because I get to direct my good energy to the places that need it most. So my clients, my family, my close friends, me. I take time for myself to meditate every day because it reminds me of what's most important. It helps me prioritize. And don't get me wrong, I have days where I feel scatterbrained, but if I ever feel that way, I step away from what I'm doing. I have an app that gives me led meditations when I don't feel like I can sit quietly, just my thoughts. I have an app that walks me through a meditation, which I love. It's called Open. And, but it always brings me back to myself and grounds me. So that really has been, in a nutshell, my journey with meditation and healing and coming back to myself. I never knew it was a thing until these past 5 years of learning and becoming a part of communities of women like yourself who are supportive of that, because I'm a mom and a wife and a friend and a sister and a daughter, and I have a lot of responsibility in my life, and I love that responsibility. But unless I'm taking care of myself first, they say you can't pour from an empty cup. And I've learned that the hard way because my cup was empty for a long time. And now it's full most days. It's full. And when it's not, I know how to get it back to full, if that makes sense.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about some advice for folks. When I know you're working primarily with teens, but I feel like the themes would be very similar for all of us, and certainly important also for the folks who are watching along with us. If there was one thing when it comes to this idea of speaking and being more visible and being more authentic in our lives and our businesses, if you could wrap your arms around teenage us and give us one bit of advice, what would it be?
Another great question. My advice would be that you are the most unique you. You're the only you that ever will be. So it doesn't matter what other people think or say. You have to be who you are and not try to be what you think people want you to be, because their perception of you is just a reflection of them. And it really doesn't matter. So when you put yourself out there, I should say it more clearly, when you put yourself out there, which I do on social media every day, I actually have taken a break being on vacation, and I know that I need to get back to it, but sometimes I like stepping away because it helps me restore myself, because putting yourself out there is a lot of energy output, but be yourself, because no one else is you. And the world needs more of the unique special sauce that you bring. So be yourself. That's my advice. And don't be afraid of what other people think, because everyone that chooses to judge will judge, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. But don't internalize it. That was too much advice, but be yourself and don't take personally what other people think of you if it's negative. Just focus on the positive and be you.
So if we are to take this piece of advice that you're giving us, be yourself, don't try to mimic what other people are doing, embrace that you're unique as a person. What are some of the do's and don'ts? What are some things that you're seeing people doing that you would encourage them to stop doing? And then what are some of the things that you wish we would do more of?
Criticizing yourself. So don't criticize yourself so much. Look in the mirror and find all the good stuff. Tell yourself you're beautiful. Tell yourself you're doing a great job, instead of looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I look ugly today, or oh, look at that wrinkle, or the things that we all tend to do from time to time. Really focus on the positive, and don't take things personally. I think that that's a big thing when you're putting yourself out there. If you take things personally, it will destroy you. Just know that there will be haters. There will be people that don't like your special sauce. They're not for you. They don't need to have your special sauce. They don't deserve it. Focus on the people that love it, because there are way more of those people in the world than there are of the negative people. So just focus on what makes you feel good and what lights you up, but start with you. Again, looking in the mirror every morning and saying, you're doing a great job. You look great today, even when you don't feel it. Even more importantly, when you don't feel that way. It's like fake it till you make it.
Lindsay, have you ever had a client who has struggled with this? And what was her or his journey that you saw bringing them to the other side of feeling that confidence that we
Yeah.
all aspire for?
It's in my work and my experience, it has been building habits. So the habit of writing down something you're grateful for every single day. Start your
Mhm.
morning, wake up. I'm looking at my gratitude journal that I wake up every single morning and I write down 3 things. It's called the 5-minute journal. I've had one for probably 4 or 5 years now. This is my 3rd journal that I'm on. It gives you prompts. Wake up. What are 3 things I'm grateful for? Immediately your brain shifts into a positive way of thinking, because you have to think about all the good things versus the list of things you have to do today, or what you're dreading, or humans tend to skew more to the negative naturally, so we almost have to force ourselves into the positive. So building habits like a gratitude practice, writing affirmations. So I am beautiful, I am powerful, I am strong, I am a great doctor, I am a great writer. Daily practice of those things. And then for some clients that I've worked with, meditation works. For some people it doesn't. So I always try and find, especially with teenagers who are much more fast moving than we are, but I work with them to figure out what does work for them, to help them reset, to help them remind themselves of their greatness. And for some, it's visualization. For some, it's meditation. For some, it's a simple breath work. For some, it's writing gratitude every morning. For some, it's, having a meal with someone during the day without their phone and being able to be in conversation. So it's just about finding what works for you, because what's prescribed for others may not work for you, but don't be resigned to that not working at all. What I'm saying is, if someone's saying, oh, you should meditate, and you try it and you try it and you try it and you just can't get there, try something else. There are so many ways to self-regulate. There are so many ways to find your peace in this life, but you have to do the work to find it. And I can tell you firsthand that it was a lot of work for me to get to where I am right now, and it changes. So 2 years ago, I was meditating 20 minutes a day, twice a day, every day without fail. And then as I started to get more and more deep into the work that I'm doing as a coach, my time became more limited, and I have kids and all the things. So I started meditating a little bit less, and I started doing more yoga, just finding what works for you and knowing that it's not a fixed thing. It's so movable. It's a movable feast. So you can change it at any time if it's not working, but stick with the practice. So I think I used the analogy yesterday when we spoke, or at the group, about going to the gym. And I use this analogy a lot with my clients because they're athletes. And so they understand when you go to the gym and you're not in shape and you want to be in shape. Let's say you really want big biceps. You don't lift weights for one day and suddenly have these giant biceps from being out of shape. It just doesn't work that way. And it's the same thing with your wellness, your mental wellness. Like, you need to practice every single day if you want to see real change. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I love all of these little tips. I was just making notes while you were speaking because I like the idea of that 5-minute journal. I feel like that's a great thing. I know for sure that evolutionarily we are built to focus in on the negative because that's a survival mechanism.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it also increases cortisol levels and inflammation and disease in the body from a medical perspective. And so there's such a great advantage to having a practice that helps to regulate the nervous system and bring those cortisol levels down. So I love it. You know, a lot of the times we have these little life hacks, these things that we do that might seem so easy and so simple to us. And when we mention it to somebody else, like, really, you're doing that? That's so amazing. Is there something that you do that you found that it's really, really helpful for you? Maybe it's an app, maybe it's a plugin, maybe it's a piece of tech or a journal or something, a book you've read, something that feels like it would be great for others to tune into.
So there are two things, if I can share two. The 5-minute journal that I was just talking about has been on my bedside for close to 5 years. Again, I'm on my third journal, and it's a daily check-in. There are some days that I don't write in it, and then I get back the next day because I feel the difference in, I didn't write down what I'm grateful for. It seemed so silly when I started it, and I have to be honest, I had a really hard time when I started because I wasn't in the place that I am now. But the practice of writing the gratitude every day has gotten me to the place of, it's easy now. Some days it's, I'm grateful for the sun, the moon, and the stars. And other days it's, I'm grateful for the time I had fishing with my son this morning because I haven't done that in a really long time. And just the two of us out there fishing in the early morning, listening to this really loud bird and we were laughing, and I was really grateful for that. And so I wrote that in the journal. It just forces you to think about the good stuff. And when you start to think about the good stuff in life, I don't care what your situation is. I mean, there may be exceptions, but it really starts to snowball, and there's so much more good than there is bad. But to your point, from a medical standpoint, when we skew negative, it affects us and it manifests in many different ways physically. And disease is, and I won't say that not practicing gratitude will cause disease, but I can certainly say that practicing gratitude can help you stay away from the things that could potentially happen that are negative. And the second that I would share is this app that I have. So I did find it harder and harder to do 20 minutes twice a day because my time started being more and more limited. So I found this app called Open, and it's got a meditation, a breath work, a sound healing, and there's a fourth thing, breathing. Oh, I said breath. There are 4 options. And just every morning I do the lead meditation, which is anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes. And then at night, it offers another meditation that is specific to the nighttime. And so I love that. I love doing a meditation at night that is specific to winding down, because our subconscious mind does a lot of work in our sleep. And if you feed it good things before bed, like a meditation where you're thinking about all the good things in life and thinking about what you want out of life, you start to dream that way. But if you're watching Netflix or you're watching Facebook or Instagram or TikTok before bed, your mind is filled with so much information that it's hard for your subconscious to kind of delineate what's what. So I love that app. It's good for people, especially who don't necessarily know how to sit still with their own thoughts, because it's someone talking you through a meditation. So that can be very helpful.
I love both of those. I've already pulled up the journal you recommended. I found it
Oh, it's my favorite.
on Amazon and I'm gonna get it. So
It's the
thank
best.
you.
I hope you do, and I hope you love it. I just got a new one, and it's like a light, I'm looking at it, it's a light blue color, and I love it.
And you're right, different processes work better for different people. I find for me, journaling is very helpful because it takes a lot of the things that are going on in my head and puts them on the paper, and somehow moving them makes me lighter. So
Oh,
journaling is perfect for me. For
yeah.
me, affirmations, not not my favorite,
Yeah.
because sometimes I find it difficult to actually believe in the things that I'm affirming, and I feel like sometimes I might take a step back as a result of that. So affirmations are probably something I need to work on more, but everybody is different. And I think that feeds back into this conversation that we're having about authenticity. Even in our processes that we are doing, we need to be authentic, and we don't need to try to do meditation because Lindsay is doing meditation, or do
No.
journaling, Davia is doing journaling, but taking the time to find out what is it that works for you, because all of this is going to feed back into you having greater confidence, you being able to be more visible in your life and in your business, you being able to connect with the folks who are out there losing sleep at night because they need the work that you do. And in the long run, you're going to see an increase in your impact and even in your income. So it all comes full circle for us as women in business, taking care of ourselves, making sure that we're okay before we even step out to
Yeah,
serve
and I
the
just
world.
to put a tail on that, I love what you just shared because all of it I agree with, is that not doing the things that make you feel like you're growing because someone says, "Why are you doing that?" Which I've had people say to me, "Oh, you
Mhm.
write in a journal and you write gratitude and you do affirmations." For me, it's what's gotten me out of a place where I didn't feel confident. I had left my job 5 years ago and I was really lost. I don't know what to do now. And for me, doing this work, this daily gratitude affirmations for me were really hard in the beginning. To this day,
Mhm.
I have a hard time with, I write big affirmations of what I see for myself happening. And to believe that I already am that person can be challenging. But the more I do it, the more I believe it, if that makes sense.
It's a
And
muscle.
yeah, and it's a practice. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
It's a practice. So I love that you said, "Oh, I don't believe it," because I also feel that way most days. But the more I'm doing it, and the more I'm stepping into my authentic self with my work, with the people I'm working with the impact that I'm making on them, I'm feeling like, oh wow, if I can create that level of transformation for a kid, then why am I not doing it for thousands of kids? What's holding me back? It's only me. And again, just to finish that, when people tell you, when people will make fun of you, people will negate the things that you're doing to make you feel good. Some friends I've shared with, oh yeah, I write gratitude every day, and they've said to me, really, like, why would you do that? Well, I have to just shut them out, which is hard, and it's shifted some friendships for me too. Like I realize
Mhm.
if you're not going to be supportive of what I'm doing, which affects your life in no way, shape, or form, then I don't really want to spend time with you. And as an adult, that's a challenging thing to realize that some friends just won't support your growth. And you don't want those friends. You don't want to be around those people. You want to be around people like you that support your growth no matter what.
And the truth is, everybody is where they are
Hmm.
in their own journey. And
Hmm.
so you are where you are. And sometimes some people might be theoretically behind your position, and it's okay to move forward. It's okay to sever ties when that no longer supports you. And
Yeah.
that's all a part of being authentic. Lindsay, I'm going to ask you a question that I think those of us who are parents really, really are chomping at the bit. I know we're definitely seeing some action in the chat as far as that goes, but people who are parents are asking, especially parents of kids who are athletes, what's the advice that you have for us as parents?
I'm actually developing, I have to develop a course for parents that I've been working on
Yes.
because I'm a parent of two teenagers, well, one almost teenager, one
Mhm.
full-blown teenager, and working with these teens. The advice that I would give is listen to what your kids have to say about their lives, be interested in what they're interested in. So, my son, I'll use as an example, he loves video games and I'm terrible at video games and I really had no interest. And then one day, about a year ago, he said to me, "You just don't care about the things that I love." And that hurt. Like I felt that. And so, and that was really at the beginning of my work that I was doing with kids. So I realized that in just taking, however long of a time, that day it was a half an hour, to listen to him. "Okay, tell me about your game. Like, I'll never play this game. I don't care about the game. I care about how the game makes him feel. I care about whether or not it's, very, what's the word? I don't like him playing games with guns and all sorts of crazy stuff, but I'm interested to know how it makes him feel because that affects me." And so by listening to him talk about the game and being interested in what he's interested in, it became like the greatest conversation. And there's no rule book for us as parents, but I really know that all that our kids want, and I think back to when I was a teenager, all I wanted to do was be heard. And most of the time our parents aren't going to agree with our choices as teenagers, especially. But But if we're there to listen instead of to give them, do this, don't do that, it allows for us to give them better guidance when the time is right to tell them, do this, don't do that, or to guide them towards something versus away, because then they trust us more because they know that we've listened. So sometimes I'll say, do you want me to listen or do you want me to give advice? And giving them that choice has been kind of a game changer, because then they're like, oh, well, I guess I want your advice on this one. Or,
Mhm.
I just need you to listen because
Yes.
I'm struggling. And once a kid knows that they have that space, that you're holding that space for them, not necessarily even as a parent, just as a human, like, I'm here for you. I want you to trust that you can tell me anything, because the world is a crazy place. And, the work that I do now, had it been 25 years ago, I would have been focused more on college aged kids. But these high school age kids are under the pressures that we were under as, in our 20s, if not later. Like, the pressure cooker of society has just become more and more intense with the advent of social media, kids that are younger having phones, like all of the extenuating circumstances. Sports as a business has changed
Yes.
the landscape of athletics forever. And I don't know how, I won't get deep into how I feel about it, but it really has changed the way that kids are showing up. And so being there to listen would be my biggest advice. Just be a good listener and ask them about what they're interested in. And if they say you don't care, say, yes, I do. I care about you. And so I
Mhm.
want to know. And give them the
Yes.
space to tell you, even though I don't care listening to Brawl Stars, whatever game he's interested in. I don't know even how to play, but it's not about that. It's about how it makes them feel. And it lights him up and he loves it. And that lights me up to see him lit up. Like, and he also just started doing jujitsu. And every time I pick him up, I ask him, how was it? One time I asked him, uh, what did I ask him? I said something about brushing his teeth, which we go back and forth about. And he said, I just wish you could not ask me about that after jujitsu, because I just had a great class. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's talk about the class. Okay, tell me about the class. And just immediately shifted back. Why am I asking you about, did you brush your teeth today? Like, let's not talk about that right now. There are moments for that because that's an expectation. You brush your teeth. But then to hear him talk about how empowered he felt in this class was much more interesting and fun.
I love that. And I agree. Our kids are under so much more pressure, perhaps, than I can remember. Because my son, one of my sons, he's a freshman. And this past Sunday, I had to take him to a showcase where there were college scouts actually looking at potential college freshmen.
Yeah.
They start looking really early. And my husband went to the team meeting recently, and they were talking about the fact that for girls, they start looking at them for college freshmen for as young as middle school. That's even crazier.
Well, and I have clients who have gotten to high school and decided, I don't want to go through the recruiting process. It's too stressful. And
Mhm.
therefore I'm not going to play my sport, which was my identity. And I loved it more than anything, but it's become too stressful and I don't want to go through it. And a lot of the kids that I'm working with that are in that place are lost because their sport was their identity and they didn't want to fight so hard to get a spot. And so they made the difficult choice to shift gears, but now they're in a place of, now what? What do I do now? I mean, I can still play my sport at the club level in college, but who am I now? And so, yeah, a lot of the work is done in listening. And I hope that the landscape of sport changes. I don't know how it's going to, but I do believe that as parents and as kids, like something needs to change. It's become too much of it's a profitable business. I mean, there's a lot of money that parents can make through their kids and that kids can make. And I think it's too much driven toward that, the bottom line. And sports should be fun at that age and not a business, in my opinion.
Yes, my opinion
There's
also.
plenty of time to make money playing your sport. And some would disagree. Some would say you need to go as hard as you possibly can because otherwise you won't be able to make money. And I disagree with that completely, for reasons that I've experienced in my own life. But, everyone is different.
Everyone is different.
Mhm.
So, Lindsay, at the end of every one of our shows, we pull a card, and I've been really loving this particular deck. It's called the Love Your Inner Goddess Guidebook by Alana Fairchild. And they're just these beautiful cards. I think I love them because I love the images and they're
Cool.
so representative of just everybody and it feels very inclusive and all of that wonderful stuff. And so I love to pull these cards, not as predictions, but just as an opportunity for us to think about an idea and perhaps have it influence the way we move forward during our week. So I pulled a card for us this morning,
Love
and
it. Oh,
it's
Fierce
a
Warrior.
beautiful card. It says Warrior Goddess. For those of you who have this deck, it's card number 25. And for those of you who are members of our Ladies Power Lunch group, whatever card we pull, I always post it in our group. So you can go on over to growsmarter.notharder.com/login, shameless plug, and you'll see all of that there in our community. So here's what it says. And I want you to just think about how this relates to what we've been talking about today. It says, this is not a time to play it safe, nor is it time to allow another to take the lead in your life. You need to believe in yourself and trust that the instincts guiding you are correct. If you need to take action, do it. Speak up. Say yes. Say no. Trust your inner truth completely. Be bold. The universe will answer your boldest actions with affirmation, and you'll move through the consequences of your actions with grace and courage, ending up exactly where you're meant to be.
I
How do
love
you
that.
think that lines up with what we've been talking about? I feel like it's
Perfectly.
the perfect card. What are your
Perfectly.
thoughts?
I perfectly I aligned, and I totally agree. I love that we got a warrior goddess. That's
Yeah,
me. That's you.
it is, every woman in business
Yeah.
is a warrior goddess.
Yeah.
'Cause we are here doing the work that we're doing. We're doing it on purpose. We're supporting the folks that need the work that we do. And we need to trust ourselves and believe in ourselves and know that, like you say to your clients, you're the best version of you. You are you. There's no other you. So be you and
And
just shine
and moms.
brightly.
And moms are warrior goddesses.
Oh my goodness, every single one.
Whether you're a working mom or non-work, I mean, we're all working moms technically.
That is what it
Mom is the
is. That's
hardest
the
job.
job.
Yeah, that's the job. But yes, I love that card. Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful. Lindsay, is there anything that you have going on now that you'd like folks to connect with? Any way that people who are watching along and thinking, oh my goodness, I love Lindsay, I want to connect with her. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. I am on Instagram at official Lindsay Potter, Lindsay with an A, and on LinkedIn. Those two platforms I'm on the most. I do have a Facebook page with it, which I interact with. My website is lindsaypotter.com, but majority of the work that I share is on Instagram. So I would love if you could follow me on Instagram. Again, it's official Lindsay Potter, and I share tips and tricks for teens and parents. And I'll be announcing all the upcoming workshops that I'm doing. Currently I'm offering one-on-one with clients, and then I have a summer workshop coming, and my podcast, which I had been running under a different name for the past 2 years, is relaunching this spring, and that is called The Confidence Edge, where I'll be sharing stories of the work that I do and the kids that I work with, and I can't wait to launch The Confidence Edge. We'll be talking a lot about the landscape of sports for kids and how it's changing and what we're doing about it as parents, as athletes. So I'm really excited to relaunch The Confidence Edge. But yeah,
I'm
Instagram's the main driver right now.
That's wonderful. I'm definitely going to follow you on Instagram. I think we're already connected on LinkedIn, and I am looking forward to your podcast relaunch. I'm even going to invite you to come back on once you've relaunched so that we can talk a little bit about your podcast and just share that with our audience so that they can tune in as well. It
That
was
would be great.
really wonderful having you on the show. I also want to point people in the direction of our previous episode where Lindsay was actually a panelist, where we were talking about this topic of speaking to grow your business and just being confident and authentic. And she really had some great insights to share. So if you want to see more of Lindsay plus our other panel members, I would invite you to just go on over wherever you're watching us, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us on Win Win Women, on our Apple TV, you're watching us on Fire TV, on Roku TV, or if you're listening to us on our podcast, just go to the previous episode and you'll see the panel with Lindsay. And I'd love for you to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and definitely connect with Lindsay in all the places. Thanks so much for watching our show. Thanks for being a part of this wonderful community. Join us if you're not already a member for 100% free at growsmarter.notharder.com/login. And there you'll find all our things. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.
Hi, I'm Misha Hideaway, CEO and owner of Gentle Mama Counseling, and you're tuned into Ladies Power Lunch.
Hi, I'm Nadine Keller, CEO of Precision Sales Coaching and Training, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Davia, the CEO of Up Vibrations, and you are plugged into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Christy Sullivan, human design expert, author, and speaker, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Keisha Zulo, president of Events of Joy, and you're tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Mary Frangelo. I'm an international fashion therapist, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Lucretia Clemens, the CEO of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness. You are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Kiana Coachman Strickland, also known as DJ Q Boogie. I'm the founder of Female DJ Association, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.